Well, we all knew this thing was going to come out in the wash eventually. Tucker Devries called out by Sencire Harris.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, where we're talking about the West Virginia basketball team a little bit, or what used to be the basketball team on this one. And also, we're going to be talking about the scholarship count again. What did Rim Becker say about that? And how is West Virginia chasing glory potentially into the top 5 of the Big 12, top funding tier of the Big 12? We're going to discuss how that's going to help that happen as well. Thank you guys for joining in as we dive into another episode here that a lot of drama, to be honest. And I'm going to play the video of Sencire Harris basically saying Tucker Devries was not injured. We're going to talk about that. So before we do, though, we have to talk about the channel sponsor, Mazda. Look, when it comes to Mazda, like our players, we sweat every detail. Because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's episode of Moving the Game Forward with Mazda. Move and be moved. All right, guys, I'm going to play you a clip of Sencire Harris talking about the Tucker Devries situation. And for those listening on audio, this seems to be an Instagram live or a TikTok live. I didn't really check which one. And so somebody's going to type a question into the chat box, which I'll read out loud. Everybody watching the video will be able to see this question. And then he's going to respond to that. So we will start showing that now. Let me get that pulled up for you. Let's see. I got to get a X. I got to go to a different X. I'm on Tucker's one because we're going to go to his X in a minute. But and Tucker still follows me, so he's probably going to see this. He's probably not going to like it. But I have questions, and I think it's fair to say, we haven't been treated fairly in this scenario. I feel like we were basically hung out to dry. But here's the video. I screen recorded it. I don't know who had it first. If you guys know, please give them credit in the comments.
You see what bro's saying? He talking about West, we gonna give us belt this year, and then he said this.
So as you can see here,
What you think?
he typed in the question, was Tucker Devries actually hurt?
He said this.
That's the question.
What you think?
And he's going to get to it here in just a second.
I think Cincinnati gonna shock a lot of people this
Now he'll answer it.
year.
What's good, Deuce?
No one to guard our 7-footer.
No, he was not hurt.
No, he was not hurt.
No, he was not hurt. He was not hurt. No, 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 he was not hurt.
So obviously confirms a lot, right? We knew this was the case. We didn't have much proof, and outside of what our eyes tell us and what logic gives us in this situation. But, I knew because I've always known, and I've shown you guys proof of this, and I'm going to show you proof again today on this show because I don't hide from that, Yes, this is a drama. I fully understand that, and it's not why people come here all the time, and some people aren't going to like these videos. They're going to say, I need to move on. I'm not ready to move on because I had personal issues with the situation, right? This is November 28th, 2024. You know what? As a matter of fact, instead of showing a screenshot, because those can be faked, I'll go directly to the messages where I sent that. Should be able to find that still. It's been a while ago. We're going to try. I'm going to have to hide who it was to. I don't even know if I have to do that. I mean, it was a one-way message almost. I mean, let me see. All right. So let's go to inbox. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Let me get up here. I got to scroll up a little bit here, it seems. All right. All right, so I'm not going to be able to hide who this is, but I don't think it's a big deal, personally to me, anyways. So I was trying to tell Mike Casazza a couple things before this all went down. Obviously he didn't ask for this. He doesn't share intel with me. I'm not saying that Mike gives me intel. He doesn't. I mean, we talk about. I try to give him things to prove I was credible early on. I mean, this was last year. I'm still trying to build credibility every day. And as you guys know, I had the DeVries family on my show, so I was able to maintain those friendships at this time. And Tucker's uncle would call me, and sometimes he would be drinking, and then he would be kind of loose lipped sometimes. And so I got some intel, right? So this is where I said, "Hey, Mike, I owe you an apology." So what happened was I basically called somebody out that worked for them, and it turned out I got tricked. So I felt like I owed him a nugget, right? I said, "I'm really close to the DeVries family. I've had both Jared and Dusty, Darren's brothers, on my shows. I keep in contact with them both weekly. I was told yesterday that Tucker is seriously considering shutting it down, that his shoulder is giving him massive issues, hence while he's not as offensively aggressive. It's a situation where he's had back-to-back surgeries and was never really had the time to fully rehab it. It's always been a rush job to get to the next season. Anyways, just want you to know, expect nothing in return, blah, blah, blah. I was asked not to report this. Darren is letting Tucker make this decision. He can sacrifice and still play, but he's nowhere near 100% apparently." Well, obviously, I didn't know that it went a lot deep at the time. Obviously, I believed what I was being told on the other end of the phone as far as from his family. Like, turns out it was tendonitis. I found out later on. Totally can play through that. Keep in mind, this is before the Arizona game. He made 8 threes in a game after this message was sent. So I looked like a total idiot to Mike, I'm sure, at the time. When he went and made 8 threes, like I think it might have been the day before or something, but like it was right before the Arizona game where he made 8 threes. I'm being told all this intel, and I don't know what to do with it. And I'm thinking, well, I mean, surely his uncle wouldn't lie to me about this, because we talked every day. Things he said always happen. And so when things got shut down, I immediately knew something was up. Everybody plays through dicks and pains and injuries. Everybody does. It's happening right now in college football. It happens every year in college basketball. Javon Small's senior year was robbed from him. As a result of this, his team had real potential in the tournament. I don't know why they couldn't see that. Sure, were we the best team in the country? No. But could we have beaten some people on a good night? Obviously, we proved that. So I am steaming mad over this because this is a team that deserved more. Just the facts of the situation, right? And like I said, Tucker follows me still, so I'm sure he's going to see, at least the thumbnail that I put up. But I'm not going to apologize for it because I'm upset. And I've got a list of things I want to talk about, obviously, as well. Other things that have happened, not just the things with DeVries here. Let me close that. So let's get to it because I've got a list of things that I want to get to about this situation because I feel like as a fan base, we've been gaslighted into just saying like Indiana fans are going to say like they're just doubling down on this no matter what happens. Like all they care about is that Darren's there and that they're going to win going forward, and they probably will. So, I get that. As a fan, I would probably do the same thing and defend my coach. But at the same time, you can say, man, look, what he did to you guys was BS, but we got to salvage what we can and go forward with our coach. And we can't really worry about you guys. Like I can accept that, but to just not even say it's reprehensible because it was reprehensible. It is reprehensible. It's not defensible what they did. The way they left, the backroom dealings, it's all coming out in the wash as we go. What did Sencire Harris have to gain from saying that? He had nothing to gain. He's just speaking it like it is. And I told you guys, and I've been told by other players, this is not the only person that feels this way. Sencire just happened to say it. So it's a frustrating thing, but we'll go to break, and I'll detail 10 other things that happened during that tenure that don't sit with me well at all. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. And look, when it comes to DoorDash, it's a pretty simple thing. We're going to look back at this week's MVP, who delivered, powered by DoorDash. And just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. And let's break it down. For West Virginia, Khalil Wilkins delivered in a big way, and so did Scotty Fox. And obviously, Scotty came in late and played well, but Khalil really gutted out 23 carries. And I felt like he did the best he could with what he had. So when he was given pressure and the pressure was on, I feel like Khalil pretty well came through with no hesitation or delay. And if you've been watching week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke. I think Khalil Wilkins could be on a streak going forward, especially if he continues to start. And just like Khalil delivered for West Virginia, DoorDash delivers Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order, so stack it up all season, and you can save up to $250, including 100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, and fuel your game day only with DoorDash, where the terms apply. Promo code through 11/18. All right, guys, I appreciate you so much for joining in. We do have one other ad read here we have to talk about with FanDuel. And look, when it comes to FanDuel, it's a pretty cool thing as well. Right now, $5 gets you $350 in bonus bets. That's pretty simple. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. As we just said, $5 can get you $300 in bonus bets. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5. If it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You know, obviously, whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com, download the app, and get to FanDuel today to get started. All right, we are back. Locked On West Virginia in segment 2. Let's crack open a do as we dive back into a little bit more on this frustrating business between Devries and company. So I'm going to detail some things here that bothered me about that tenure and why I think there's still more to come out in the wash. Obviously, if you'll remember, the Big 12 tourney plane snub, which was one of the signs of disloyalty for sure. Like right after the West Virginia's lost to Kansas in the Big 12 tournament on March 12th, the team boarded the charter flight back to Morgantown as a unit, bonded in defeat, ready to fight for an NCAA tournament at large bid. But Darian Devries was nowhere to be found. He skipped the flight entirely, opting for a private ride or separate travel instead of rallying with his players. I actually think he went to visit family. This wasn't just logistics, though. It was a gut punch to team chemistry, in my opinion. You know, obviously, it's tone deaf, right? Especially after a season where Devries preached family, he preached unity, and then the players felt abandoned in the lowest moment. KJ Tenner told me, I don't know. I guess that's just how he moves, right? So, you know, obviously it's one of those things where, okay, that's like this is a crack in the facade, obviously. There was the package deal at the Battle for Atlantis. We've heard about all since this happened. Whispers about Indiana started as early as November, like right around Tucker, when I started hearing about Tucker. Imagine that. During the Atlanta Battle for Atlantis tournament in the Bahamas, West Virginia upset Gonzaga. But behind the scenes, reports surfaced that Darren was in talks with Indiana brass and used the event as cover for discreet meetings. You know, some other insiders claim that Devries entertained offers from multiple Blue Bloods, but zeroed in on Indiana because it came with his built-in star Tucker, right? Obviously. So they zeroed in on him because he would come with Tucker. So the package deal, obviously, it was a narrative that exploded post departure. And on March 18th, the hire in Indiana was official. And, of course, Tucker made the transition along with him. Imagine that. A top 25 NIL package was estimated between $1 and $2 million to sweeten that. And Tucker, fresh off his injury, was now positioned as the crown jewel, two-time in the Mountain West Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year, redshirted and ready to return healthy. Rim Baker later confirmed that Devries only seriously considered Indiana, but fans kind of smelled a rat here. Why bolt from a team that was 19-13? You had a bunch to build on for next year, AP poll buzz, and at the time you thought you were going to the tournament, but you didn't. And you could have, and obviously, it seems like West Virginia was poised to be able to invest into what DeVries and them had going on. I'm not sitting here saying that he shouldn't have went to Indiana. I'm not going to sit here and say that. I can't in good faith say we were a better job. We were not. We're not. But it's not that far away, right? So maybe when Knight was there, but not now. So, obviously he didn't just leave, though. He vanished. We're still stinging from an NCAA snub on March 16th. And, as you can see, it wasn't – how long was it till he was hired there? A few days? March 18th. Yeah. So 2 days later, the hire was made. Javon Small, obviously, no congratulations from Darian Devries. That was very telling. Whenever he got drafted, number 52 overall, Darian Devries, crickets, no public congrats, no IG story shout out, nothing. Small, who carried the load while Tucker sat on the sidelines collecting NIL money. It really burns me up. It really burns me up, man. In a June podcast, Javon Small said it stung, as a matter of fact. He said, especially because DeVries hyped him as our floor general. So, even Javon Small has openly talked about this. So, obviously it's just a betrayal, and we were betrayed, and we thought he was going to be a long-term hire based on his past, right? And there was no loyalty there at all. So Sencire Harris drops the hammer today. I think it only confirms a lot of these warning signs that we all saw. And he didn't want to be in Morgantown. That's fine. But you didn't have to take what little we had with you. Whatever money your son made, and let's not forget the money that I gave as well. Over $1,000 in NIL, by the way, for one appearance. So, at the end of the day, and not just me, Coos gave money too. The fans gave money. It was a lot. There was a lot. My friend and friend of the show, obviously, Sean Uphold gave. There were plenty of people that had a lot to do with that. And, Coos and I came up with our own parts of the money on that. But guess who was left holding the bag on that, Anyways, so here we are. Karma coming back around to see you, buddy. So it's a frustration. Like I said, I'm not happy about it. I feel like I don't want to wish any ill on anybody, I don't want to wish injuries or anything like crazy. But do I hope they're a bad basketball team this year? I do. I hope to God somehow they just miss the tournament, or something crazy, to where we can all just bash. I want to have fun bashing on them this year. The reality, though, is they're probably going to be a top 10 team, and we'll have to live with that. But karma comes back in ways, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I want anything bad to happen to these people, outside of basketball. I just want them to fail. Really, that's it. I don't want anything bad to happen. I liked my interactions with their family, and I felt like we had built a semi-friendship, and that's probably just on me for leaning too heavily into all that. I was never anything more than a way to promote them, and that's just the truth, right? So I don't know, man. I guess let's move on. Let's just move on from it. I know you guys want me to probably not talk about this all the time, and I don't talk about it much, maybe maybe once every few months something happens, but certainly, this is something I'll continue to cover because I was personally involved, right? And I was right about it as well. And I was early on a lot of that Tucker Devries stuff. I think I've proven that. I was talking about his shoulder in November, right? That was well before anybody else, anybody. So anyway, let's go to break. Let's talk about something better. Ren Baker detailed exactly what Darian Devries is going to miss out on. We'll talk about that next. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by friends. We have friends around here, I think. And I'm just kidding. Our good friends from FanDuel. And with FanDuel, it's a pretty simple thing. If you want to know Mazda, apologies, Mazda. With Mazda, the Mazda has the game moving forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than just put points on the board. They put crowds, culture, and also keep moving the game forward. And I think this week's moment that moved the game forward is the announcement of the scholarships for West Virginia. That moves the entire university forward, guys. It's literally one of the biggest decisions in the history of West Virginia sports. We're going to talk about it. So when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Do it today with Mazda. Move and be moved. All right, guys, we're back here with segment 3. Appreciate you so much for being here and listening to me rant about Devries and all that for a bit. But we have to move on. And what are we moving into? Well, we're moving into Ren Baker territory here as he has done what some may think was impossible. And I got to be honest, I don't know if impossible is a great word to describe it, but certainly improbable, right? Certainly improbable. So let's talk about the bright future that Ren Baker has laid out for West Virginia. So where do we start here? Obviously, we're transitioning. Obviously, we're in a bad spot for football this year. We're not going to be good, but let's take a deep breath because Ren Baker, our VP and our athletic director, dropped some serious reassurance on why brighter days are going to be ahead. We're talking about a foundation that's rock solid. Resources are going to be locked and loaded and a clear path to contention. So let's break down every key point from his interview from 3 guys because the bigger picture trends back that up, right? Spoiler alert, by the way. We're way ahead of the game here, guys. We're talking about top 5 in the Big 12. And this is with teams like Texas Tech and BYU and big money, right? So let's first off, Baker talked about he gets it. Fans are frustrated and rightfully so. But he said, look, let's just compartmentalize, right? Neil Brown's 6-year era and this 1-year reset under Rich Rod aren't the end game. So it's new coach territory. We're basically rebuilding from the ground up in today's NIL portal world. So, we had 2023, and that was the only fun exception of all this. The real story is the rebuild ahead. Ren Baker's vibe has basically been confidence that we're layering bricks for a special future for this program. We're adding so many scholarships. It's insane. And the numbers scream it, right? So, and look, by the way, on the year 1 coaching thing real quick before we move on to scholarships, Big 12 coaches almost universally tank in year 1 and explode in year 2, and we've seen that. Brent Brennan at Arizona is doing really good. Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State, Dave Miranda at Baylor, Scott Satterfield at Cincy, Dion at Colorado, Willie Fritz at Houston, Lance Leopold at Kansas, Sonny Dykes is the only one that did the reverse of that. Joey McGuire, and even Indiana may be better this year after their insane run last year. So West Virginia can absolutely do the same thing. Absolutely, guys. So let's not get too tied up on what that all looks like, right? So here we are. We're next, right? We're next. I think it's time finally for us. And here's how we're stocked and stacked. We've got fuel for year 2. First of all, we didn't spend all our resources Rimbaker confirmed that as well. Hoppy Kirchville said about $5 million last week. I think that's probably about right. So we head into 2026 with a $5 million head start. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Because we're going to have to restock probably 40 to 50 more players next year. It's not going to be ideal, but maybe we have a couple freshmen that step up and are better than we think. And, maybe we can cut that down to 30 even, or maybe you get some real high-end high school players and you try to go that route. I don't know. But we've got juice right now, and we are absolutely hunting, right? Our current roster's got decent NIL, but we held back on the dollars. So gas left in the tank, full allotment for next year, and we're hunting for a cap above the cap NIL deals. So highly competitive pool of funds, not just playing catch up. We're actually primed to dominate in recruitment. This is a big deal, right? Because of the scholarships added. And if you didn't hear about the news yesterday, we're going to soar above 400 scholarships, which is a more than 57% increase in scholarships. That puts money in your pocket because obviously the revenue share, the way the thing's set up. And I think he's high on Rich Rod for nailing it next year, setting a winning culture, hammering home expectations, pouring concrete on the foundation that'll last. There's no shortcuts here. They're going to evaluate every player. They're going to have everything retained, hopefully, that we need to have retained. So by next offseason, we'll know who our guys are inside and out. Sure, we'll definitely still chase bodies in the portal in high school, but not the insane 80-plus turnover this year. So that means smarter picks, lower miss rates, a squad that gets faster, better, faster, more physical, hopefully a really good elite offensive line and defensive line. I think that's where you have to start. And then you can feel really good because we'll have the right people executing the plan for high-level contention. Pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. Obviously, you don't want it to chase so many scholarships next year. That's going to be the big deal with football. And you add 16 scholarships in football as well, which is a big deal. That they don't have to be walk-ons now. That 105 can be all scholarship players, y'all. You get what I'm saying? We have a bunch of walk-ons right now that, guys, like in the past, like Preston Fox or Hudson Clement. Yeah, those turn out to be really good players sometimes. But if you can add a scholarship player, those guys are going to turn out to be good over walk-ons probably 70% of the time, maybe more, probably higher. So here's the big thing that Rimbaker confirmed. Obviously, where do we land in this new era? Where do we stack up compared to everybody else? Because that's what we all want to know. Are we going to be where we're at now, which is bottom third? Or are we going to be closer to the top? Closer to the top is the answer, right? Top 5, top 6, somewhere in there. So if you give Rich Rod those resources, there's not a ton that separates you from the rest. Now, maybe Texas Tech will have a big advantage, and maybe BYU will, or, a couple teams, but generally we're going to be all right. So I think we've always done more with less anyway, but this way we get back to where it used to be, where you're coming to West Virginia because you want to be here. We're going to have money just like everybody else. And I think you can get the things that are important to you, right? So these are big deals. This is a big deal. And I think as we add more guardrails to the sport going forward, hopefully contracts or a players union or whatever, that way you can keep guys for more than 1 year. It'll start to get better. We just hopefully it happens before Rich Rod gets too old, because I think that's going to be the only thing that holds Rich Rod back from truly getting us back on track like we used to be. Is I think Rich Rod can identify guys he likes. Obviously, I think a lot of people are missing out on the fact that we brought in 80 people, and that's not the 80 people part. We've heard that a million times. But the miss rate on 80 guys is going to be 70%, probably, somewhere in there. Maybe less. I mean, think about the NFL. How often do all 7 or 8 of your 9 or sometimes 10 of your draft picks hit? It's rare. Sometimes you get 2 guys out of a class, right? So same thing with college. And it's actually less. Think about NFL players are basically already developed or they have elite athletic freak traits that need developing. In this case, West Virginia can go after a little bit more developed kind of players now, as to where this year we had to go get the Haslams or the Macanioles of the world that are to experiments. Obviously, Macaniole was good enough athletically to play at LSU, but he technique or strength or something's not there. Not just him, like it's a bunch of people, but the offensive line's a big, like we're just not able to compete up front this year, right? And it's just a very clear. Hopefully going forward, and if it was up to me, you know, you've got to spend $2 million on your offensive line every year. I feel like every year without fail, you have to do that. And as inflation goes up for that, you have to meet it. And by the way, that goes up almost 800,000 every year. In 10 years, guys, 20 years, if this is still happening, we're going to be at $40 million cap. So the timeline is ticking on the future. We have to figure this out as a sport. But for now, West Virginia in the top 5 of the Big 12, and without some kind of other outside interference like some huge donation, which Rim Baker did talk about. They're working on a couple huge gifts for the future. We'll see what that works out to be. But overall, man, there's a lot to be excited about here. This is a really big deal for West Virginia. Really big deal. So make sure you guys thank Rim Baker if you see him out and about or on X or somewhere, because they deserve it. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. We'll see you guys on the next one. But before you go, make sure you go and check out our other Big 12 shows or other Locked On shows as far as SEC, Big 12, Big 10, ACC. We've got all those. And look, for your second listen, Big 12, Drake Toll brings the most exciting conference in college sports to life, from rivalries to championships and every game in between. Locked On Big 12 on YouTube is where you need to go, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And we'll see you on the next one. Tucker Devries is a liar. Rim Baker is a killer. And I'm Mountaineer Paul. Until the next one, cue them country roads.